everyone, and welcome back to Chill English Channel. We're so happy you decided to spend a little part of your day improving your English with us.
Hi friends, it honestly means a lot that you're here. Maybe you're at home, maybe you're commuting, or maybe you're just relaxing with a cup of coffee. Wherever you are, we're glad you're listening.
I'm Sophia, and of course, I'm here with Jake. And today, we're going to talk about something that makes many English learners feel nervous.
Yes, slightly nervous, possibly sweaty palms nervous.
That already sounds stressful. What are we talking about?
Let me start with a small question, nothing too dramatic. If someone asked you right now, what is one of your greatest strengths? What would you say?
Oh, wow, we're starting strong today. That question feels like I'm suddenly sitting in front of a hiring manager.
Exactly, that's the energy.
Let me think. I suppose I would say that I'm very structured. I like planning ahead, organizing information, and making sure everything runs smoothly.
That answer fits you perfectly. Your to-do lists have to-do lists.
That is absolutely not true. Okay, maybe a little true.
See? That's a strength. Being structured helps you stay calm when things get busy.
All right, your turn. What would you say is one of your strongest qualities?
I'd probably say flexibility. When plans suddenly change, I usually adjust without panicking.
That's true. When something unexpected happens, I start replanning immediately, and you just say, "It's fine, we'll figure it out."
That's the idea.
And this is exactly what we're exploring today: how to talk about your strengths in English in a way that sounds natural, confident, and real.
This topic is extremely important because people ask about strengths in so many situations.
Job interviews are the most obvious example.
But it can also happen in university applications, team meetings, professional introductions, or even deeper personal conversations.
And here's the problem. Many learners know vocabulary like hardworking, responsible, creative, but when someone asks the question directly, everything disappears from their mind.
Total blank moment.
I remember having exactly that experience.
What happened?
In one of my early interviews, I was feeling prepared. I had practiced answers for many common questions. Then the interviewer calmly asked, "What would you say you do particularly well?"
That sounds simple enough.
It sounds simple, but I froze. My brain stopped working. I finally said, "I try my best."
Oh no.
Exactly. That sentence wasn't wrong, but it didn't really say anything specific. It didn't show confidence. It didn't show awareness. It was just safe.
And being too safe often makes your answer sound weak.
After today's lesson, you won't have to give vague answers like that. You'll know how to clearly explain what you're good at and why.
So, let's begin with some common strengths that are useful in both professional and everyday contexts.
A very valuable strength is reliability. A reliable person keeps promises and follows through on responsibilities.
You might say, people can count on me to finish my work on time.
That's much stronger than just saying, "I'm reliable." You're giving context.
Another important quality is initiative.
Yes, initiative means you don't always wait for instructions. You take action when something needs to be done.
For example, I often volunteer to take the lead on new projects.
That shows confidence and motivation.
Communication is another big one.
Absolutely. Clear communication can prevent misunderstandings and build strong teamwork.
You could say, I express my ideas clearly, and I make sure others feel heard.
That answer shows both clarity and empathy.
Let's talk about analytical thinking.
That's a great strength, especially in problem-solving situations. It means you examine details carefully before making decisions.
For example, when facing a challenge, I like to break it down into smaller parts.
That sounds thoughtful and mature.
Creativity is another strong quality.
Yes, but instead of just saying, "I'm creative," you could say, "I enjoy finding new approaches when traditional methods don't work."
That sounds much more convincing.
Now let's look at some sentence structures you can use when talking about strengths.
One useful pattern is, a quality I value in myself is.
For example, a quality I value in myself is persistence.
Another helpful structure is, I tend to excel at.
For example, I tend to excel at managing multiple tasks at once.
You can also say, something I do well is...
For example, something I do well is staying calm under pressure.
Notice how these patterns sound natural and conversational.
They also allow you to continue speaking instead of stopping after one adjective.
That's very important. Interviews and professional conversations are not vocabulary tests. They are opportunities to show awareness.
Many learners worry that talking about their strengths will make them sound arrogant.
That's a common concern.
But describing your abilities calmly and honestly is not arrogance, it's clarity.
Arrogance would sound like, I'm better than everyone else.
Confidence sounds like, I've developed strong organizational skills over time.
See the difference?
One sounds competitive, the other sounds professional.
Another important point is authenticity.
Yes, choose strengths that genuinely describe you.
If you claim to be detail-oriented but often forget important information, people will notice the inconsistency.
Self-awareness is more impressive than perfection.
Let's practice together for a moment.
Think about something you naturally do well.
Then try saying, a strength of mine is...
Add a short explanation that shows how it appears in real life.
For example, a strength of mine is patience. I stay calm when situations become stressful.
Or, one area where I perform well is planning. I like setting clear goals before starting a project.
Notice how those answers feel complete.
The goal is not to sound perfect. The goal is to sound real and thoughtful.
And when you speak that way, people feel more confident in you.
Talking about strengths isn't just about getting a job. It's about understanding what you bring to relationships, teams, and conversations.
When you know your strengths, you can express them clearly. And when you express them clearly, you sound confident in English.
Now that we've explored how to talk about strengths, let's move into something that feels a little more uncomfortable.
Ah, yes. The part where people suddenly start looking at the ceiling and thinking very hard.
Exactly. We're going to talk about weaknesses.
That word alone makes people nervous.
It really does. But here's something important to remember. Everyone has weaknesses.
Absolutely. The goal is not to pretend you're perfect. The goal is to show awareness and growth.
Let me ask you something, Jake. If someone asked you, what is one area you're trying to improve? What would you say?
That sounds much kinder than what is your biggest weakness?
It definitely sounds less dramatic.
I would probably say that I sometimes take on too many responsibilities at once. I like helping, but occasionally I overload my schedule.
That's actually a very honest answer, and it shows reflection.
See? I'm learning.
When I'm asked that question, I usually say that I can be overly detail-focused. I sometimes spend too much time perfecting small things.
Which can be both a strength and a weakness.
Exactly. And that's an important point. Some weaknesses are connected to strengths.
The key is how you explain them.
Many learners make the mistake of either being too negative or too vague.
Yes, saying I'm terrible at everything is obviously not a good idea.
And saying I have no weaknesses is even worse.
That answer usually makes people suspicious.
Instead, you want to choose something real but manageable, something that shows you are working on improving.
Let's look at some common weaknesses people mention.
One very common one is perfectionism.
Yes, but you have to be careful with that one. If you just say, I'm a perfectionist, it can sound like you're avoiding the question.
That's why explanation matters. For example, I sometimes spend too much time refining details, but I'm learning to manage my time more efficiently.
That sounds thoughtful and balanced.
Another common area is public speaking anxiety.
Many people struggle with that.
You could say, I used to feel very nervous speaking in front of groups, so I've been practicing and gradually building confidence.
That answer shows progress.
Time management can also be a challenge for some people.
Yes, especially when handling multiple tasks.
For example, in the past, I found it difficult to prioritize tasks, but I've started using planning tools to improve.
Notice the pattern here.
Yes, you acknowledge the weakness, then explain what you're doing about it.
Let's talk about sentence structures you can use when describing weaknesses in a professional way.
One helpful pattern is, one area I'm working on is.
For example, one area I'm working on is delegating tasks more effectively.
Another useful structure is, I sometimes struggle with.
For example, I sometimes struggle with saying no to extra work.
That sounds honest without sounding dramatic.
You can also say, I've noticed that I tend to.
For example, I've noticed that I tend to overanalyze decisions, so I'm practicing trusting my instincts.
That phrasing shows self-awareness.
And self-awareness is very powerful in interviews and professional conversations.
Let's talk about mistakes learners often make when discussing weaknesses.
Mistake number 1 is being too extreme.
For example, I'm lazy. That's not helpful.
Exactly. That closes the conversation instead of opening it.
Mistake number 2 is giving a weakness that directly prevents you from doing the job.
For example, if you're applying for a job that requires teamwork, saying, I hate working with people is probably not a good strategy.
That would be risky.
Mistake number 3 is giving a weakness without showing improvement.
Saying, I get stressed easily and stopping there makes it sound like the problem is permanent.
But if you say, I used to get overwhelmed under pressure, but I've learned techniques to stay organized and calm, that changes everything.
It shows growth.
Growth is attractive in both professional and personal contexts.
Another important detail is tone.
Yes, your voice should sound calm and reflective, not ashamed.
You're not confessing a crime.
Exactly. You're simply describing part of your personality.
Let's practice a few examples together.
I'll start. One area I'm developing is assertiveness. I sometimes hesitate to express disagreement, but I'm learning to communicate more directly.
That sounds balanced and mature. Your turn. I've realized that I can be impatient when projects move slowly. I'm working on staying focused on long-term progress instead of immediate results.
That answer shows both honesty and responsibility.
And notice something important.
What is it?
Neither of us used dramatic language. We didn't say, I'm terrible or I'm bad at everything.
Right. We described behavior, not identity.
That distinction matters. Saying, I sometimes procrastinate feels different from saying, I am a procrastinator.
One describes an action. The other describes your entire personality.
And when you're speaking in English, choosing careful language makes you sound more thoughtful.
Talking about weaknesses can actually make you sound more confident than only talking about strengths.
Because it shows balance.
And balance is realistic. No one is perfect, and pretending to be perfect usually has the opposite effect.
When you acknowledge an area of growth calmly and explain your efforts to improve, you leave a strong impression.
So instead of fearing the question about weaknesses, think of it as an opportunity.
An opportunity to show maturity.
An opportunity to show self-knowledge.
And an opportunity to speak English in a more advanced and natural way.
We've talked about strengths. We've talked about weaknesses. Now let's focus on something very important, how to combine both in one smooth, balanced answer.
Yes, because in real conversations, people rarely ask only one short question and then stay silent.
Exactly. They might say, tell me about yourself, and expect a complete response that includes both what you do well and what you're improving.
That's where many learners struggle. They either focus only on positive qualities or they become too critical of themselves.
The secret is balance. A strong answer usually includes 3 parts: a strength, a brief explanation, and a growth area with progress.
Let's demonstrate what that sounds like in a natural way.
I'll start with a professional example. I'm someone who works very well under pressure. In previous roles, I often handled tight deadlines successfully. At the same time, I've realized that I sometimes take on too many tasks, so I've been learning to prioritize more carefully.
That answer sounds confident and realistic.
Notice how it doesn't sound perfect. It sounds human.
I'll give another example. I communicate clearly and enjoy collaborating with others. However, I used to avoid difficult conversations. Recently, I've been practicing more direct communication to improve teamwork.
That's a very strong answer because it shows development.
Growth makes your personality dynamic instead of fixed.
Now let's talk about something else that's very important: context.
Yes, the way you describe your strengths and weaknesses should change depending on the situation.
At work, you might highlight responsibility, organization, or leadership.
With friends, you might talk about loyalty, humor, or empathy.
In academic situations, you could mention curiosity, discipline, or analytical thinking.
So always think about who is asking the question and why.
Let's look at a few practical mini scenarios.
Scenario 1, a job interview.
You could say, "One of my strongest skills is time management. I consistently meet deadlines and organize projects efficiently. I'm also working on delegating more tasks so I can focus on strategic priorities."
That sounds focused and professional.
Scenario 2, a university scholarship interview.
I'm highly motivated and curious. I enjoy exploring complex topics deeply. At the same time, I'm learning to balance academic work with rest so I can maintain long-term productivity.
Very thoughtful.
Scenario 3, a casual conversation where someone asks you about yourself.
You might say, "I'm usually pretty organized and dependable. My friends sometimes say I plan too much, though, so I'm trying to be more spontaneous."
That sounds natural and friendly.
Notice how the tone changes slightly in each example.
Yes, professional situations sound more structured, while casual ones sound lighter.
Let's also talk about body language and delivery.
That's important. Even the best sentence can sound weak if you speak too quietly or avoid eye contact.
You don't need to be dramatic, just speak clearly at a steady pace.
And remember to pause between ideas. Silence is not your enemy.
That's true. Many learners rush because they're nervous.
But slowing down actually makes you sound more confident.
Now let's practice together. We'll create one full, balanced answer step by step.
Step 1. Choose one genuine strength.
Step 2. Explain it with a short example.
Step 3. Mention one realistic area of improvement.
Step 4. Show what you're doing about it.
Let's build one.
I'm someone who adapts quickly to change. In my previous role, I successfully adjusted to new systems without difficulty.
However, I've noticed that I sometimes focus too much on details, so I'm practicing seeing the bigger picture when planning projects.
That answer feels complete.
It includes ability, reflection, and progress.
And that combination makes you sound mature and self-aware.
Before we finish, let's look at a few common mistakes to avoid when combining strengths and weaknesses.
Mistake number 1. Turning your weakness into a joke.
Saying something like, "My weakness is chocolate," might sound funny, but it doesn't answer the question seriously.
Mistake number 2. Apologizing too much.
You don't need to say, "I'm sorry, I'm not perfect."
Everyone already knows that no one is perfect.
Mistake number 3. Giving an answer that sounds memorized.
Yes, if your answer sounds robotic, it won't feel authentic.
Try to understand the structure, not memorize a script.
Now it's your turn to practice.
Think of one strength you truly have.
Then think of one area you're currently improving.
Try to say your full answer out loud.
For example, "I'm particularly good at staying organized, which helps me manage multiple responsibilities. At the same time, I'm working on being more flexible when unexpected changes happen."
Say it slowly.
Speak clearly.
And believe what you're saying.
When you talk about yourself with honesty and balance, you don't just improve your English, you also improve your confidence.
And confidence grows through practice.
Let's quickly review what we covered today.
We explored how to describe strengths clearly and specifically.
We learned how to present weaknesses in a constructive and professional way.
We discussed useful sentence structures that sound natural in interviews and real conversations.
We talked about balance, context, and delivery.
Most importantly, we learned that strengths and weaknesses are not opposites. They're parts of a complete personality.
You don't need to sound perfect, you just need to sound aware and honest.
Now it's time for our question of the day.
If someone asked you today to describe one strength and one area you're improving, what would you say?
Write your answer in the comments using one of the sentence patterns we practiced.
We love reading your responses, and it's excellent writing practice.
If you enjoyed this lesson, please like, comment, and subscribe to Chill English channel.
Your support helps us continue creating calm and practical English lessons for you.
Keep practicing a little every day.
Be patient with yourself. Growth takes time.
And remember, having strengths and weaknesses doesn't make you less capable. It makes you human.
Thank you for learning with us today.
See you in the next lesson.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.